for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Court papers indicate former Raptors forward Jonte Porter will face federal felony charges in the sports betting gambling scandal that resulted in his lifetime ban from the NBA. Not one, but two members of the James family agreed to deals with the Lakers today. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports LeBron agreed on a 2-year, $104 million max contract, player option for the 2025-2026 season, no trade clause. As he enters his 22nd NBA season, there's still a great deal on LeBron's shoulders, says MSG Knicks analyst Alan Hahn.
40 years old, this franchise still revolves around LeBron James. As much as he has talked about passing the torch and Anthony Davis becoming that piece, as much as they've talked about finding another star to come in and take some of the pressure and some of the load off LeBron James, we all know it still orbits around this man, and he's still a highly productive player.
According to ESPN's Dave McMenamin, second-round pick Bronny James agreed to his rookie contract, 4 years, almost $8 million. The Lakers hired longtime coaches Nate McMillan and Scott Brooks as top assistants on new head coach J.J. Redick's staff.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Canty from Unsportsmanlike. If you miss any of the shows, make sure you download the podcast and make sure to tune in every weekday at 6 a.m. right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And welcome into a Wednesday edition of AFR. We're off and running, presented by Pluckers. Musso in for Moscona. We got Jordan Kitchens and Paul O'Neill along for the ride as well, and glad you are here to be here for 3 more hours, guys. 3 more hours, and we will send you into your 4th of July weekend. I know we're all looking forward to here. Got a 4-day weekend coming up at Guarantee as well. So after today, we'll all be back on Monday. We got plenty to get to today as well. Bryce Koon from Go247 is going to join the show in the next hour. We're going to talk a little bit about LSU's pass rush, the steps they need to take in order to improve under Bo Davis and Kevin Peoples. We're looking forward to that conversation. Bryce has been writing up kind of like some features on different guys, kind of really honing in on the pass rush. So I thought, what the hey, come on radio and let's do it together there. We've got a couple different Saint segments to get into involving Marshon Lattimore, Derek Carr. We have a new MLB mock draft. There's just a lot to get to, and we will start, as always, of course, opening segment on AFR brought to you by Bud Light and Mockler Beverage. Hey!
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light.
I've been practicing.
I like it. That was good. And as I look up on TV here in studio at the SEC Network Takeover LSU Day and see Luke Holman carve up the Florida Gators, we'll start with LSU baseball. So the transfer portal window for spring sports, baseball in general, closed last night, July 2nd at midnight. But as is always the case that we see with these portal windows, some paperwork gets in, right under the gun, and it takes a minute for the names to actually populate. So that's why you've been seeing more guys show up in the portal, kind of across college baseball today. That's not the case with what happened with Ryan Kucherak from LSU, but he did, in fact, enter the transfer portal. It was right around the time we were going off air yesterday, so we didn't get a time to react to it, so we'll do that now. Ryan Kucherak spends 1 season at LSU. It was an interesting one. Came in highly touted as a shortstop out of Arizona, the number 2 shortstop, as a matter of fact, in the state of Arizona, the number 15 overall player in the state of Arizona per perfect game. And I say it was an interesting first year because LSU brought in what was thought to be a really good position player crop. And I think you saw that in spades, honestly. I mean, Stephen Milam turned out to be great. Ashton Larson, fantastic. Jake Brown, especially towards the end of the season, really came on. Other than that, though, I mean, you still had Derek Mitchell, you had Austin Rolig, and you had Ryan Kucherak. Ryan Kucherak was the only other freshman of that position player crop that got playing time for LSU. He played in 16 games, got the one start. It was a midweek game against McNeese, and hit 250 in 12 at-bats. But seeing him get the opportunity stood out to me as to what Jay Johnson and the coaching staff thought of him going forward. Because you did bring in that type of crop of position player. And when Michael Braswell was going through some struggles, specifically in the field, and they wanted to see, okay, do you have another option there? That other option they went to was Ryan Kutrek, and they got him to start in the midweek. Now, obviously, look, it didn't materialize in anything. The bat wasn't up to standard, and, I mean, Michael Braswell ended up having a great year. That was early April, y'all. It's crazy to think back that, on that with the struggles, and I don't want to say a benching, but it kind of was. Like, you saw Braswell be taken out of games late after defensive miscues and Kutrek go in. You saw the start in McNeese. It's just crazy to think about that when you look back and, man, Michael Braswell ended up being really solid down the stretch for you defensively and was your second leading hitter in conference play behind Ashton Larson. But that's where it was. And Ryan Kutrek was that guy. Now he moves on. It's understandable that he would move on. Highly touted as he was, we just mentioned, played sparingly. You're going to look a long way from home, West Coast guy. It stands to reason you might look for a different opportunity. Where it can get head scratching in a sense is LSU's infield depth is bad. Like it's like there was an opportunity. If a guy like Ryan Kutrek was getting that opportunity, and this is twofold, if a guy like Ryan Kutrek was getting that opportunity in his freshman season, it stands to reason when you look at the depth issue that LSU has on the infield right now, that there would be plenty of opportunity for him to play as a sophomore. I say that's twofold because it also stands to reason that there might not be with how forcefully LSU has gone after infielders in the transfer portal, specifically middle infielders. So, again, all of it kind of makes sense. Exit Ryan Kutrek. That's 14 players in the portal. That should be LSU's final number. We're 3 o'clock on Wednesday, well past the deadline. No more names have popped up. That should be it. It doesn't really impact the numbers conversation we had much yesterday, except by one. If you missed that, it's on demand. It was the top of the show. We kind of went through the overall total numbers, settled in on where they would be at the current moment. It was 31. Just subtract it to 30. If you missed the segment, go back and listen to it. So you're good there. But what you really need is infielders. That part hasn't changed. In fact, you can argue, and it'd make a lot of sense to argue that with Kutrek leaving, that the need has gotten even greater. But how great is it? Let's dig a little deeper and look at what you have. You know Stephen Milam is coming back. And Stephen Milam showed some versatility as a freshman. You saw him play shortstop a little bit, and he looked really good doing that. He definitely has the arm strength to play that position. You know what he is at second base. The range is elite at second base. It's very good at shortstop. If push came to shove and LSU was pressed into a spot where Stephen Milam had to be your shortstop, I think you could absolutely do that without question. Like, I would not be worried about that. There was a time when Braswell was kind of going through struggles that I would say, just flip them. Like, you want both bats in the lineup, just flip them, see what they can do there. But I think, in the immediacy, they would like to keep Milam at second and see if they can't find a shortstop. The other part of this is Michael Braswell has another year, can come back. And Braswell, while he'll get an opportunity in the draft, like I believe Michael Braswell will hear his name called when the MLB draft goes over the course of that 3 days, I think it's on day 3. And if that's the case, he'll have leverage, being a junior and whatnot. Is it an overslot sign? You got to watch and see, which team takes him potentially for that. But he could come back. And if he does, your middle infield is set and you're really looking for depth. But again, with how forcefully LSU has gone after middle infielders in the transfer portal, you would naturally assume, okay, is that a tip-off that maybe Michael Braswell's leaning to go? Or do they feel like they really need to cover their bases because it's just such a fluid spot, it's so unsure? So there's a real, and then Jared Jones, of course, who everyone expects to sign, I feel like at this point, and Tommy White's going. So again, it's the conversation we've had. There's a very real chance that Stephen Milam's the only guy you re-sign. You return, excuse me. Let's operate under that hypothetical. Let's say Michael Braswell does go to the draft and Stephen Milam's the guy you bring back. What do you have ancillary to that? Well, you have two infielders in your junior college transfer class. One of them a first baseman and Trevor Schmidt. The other is Tanner Reeves. And Tanner Reeves is kind of a wild card in this whole thing because he's a very veteran player that's played plenty of baseball at the junior college level and has excelled. He's shown power at the plate. He's shown the ability to hit for average at the plate. You can always ask the question to step up. Absolutely. But they're incredibly high on him. And one reason why is the athleticism. That's a guy that can play not only every position on the infield, third base, short, second, and first, by the way. But Jay Johnson said he could probably play every position on the field outside of pitcher and catcher. So that's a guy who brings great versatility and a great bat. And I would expect him more than likely to have some type of spot or opportunity for sure, but probably some type of spot on LSU's infield in 2025. Just going off of listening to how they've spoke about him and things about that, and the versatility lends itself to that. So that's a good addition. In your signing class, you have 5 infielders. Cale Fountain at third base. Ryan Costello at third base. At first base. Fountain at third. Costello at first. And you have 3 shortstops. Kason Evans, David Hogg II, and Michael Ryan, who's a shortstop out of Rummel down in New Orleans. 2 of those guys, Fountain and Ryan, are ranked in MLB Pipeline's top 250. The other 3 are not. So it stands to reason that you're going to get the majority of those guys to campus. And it's no guarantee that you wouldn't get Fountain or Michael Ryan to campus either. That bolsters depth. Could some of those guys, especially the ones projected, in those top 250, come in and compete for starting spots? Absolutely. Again, you're not unfamiliar with that at LSU. Freshmen coming in and competing for spots. So sure, that could happen. But I think you look at that mainly as depth. What LSU needs is that go-to guy who they know can come in and start immediately, potentially at shortstop in the SEC, and go from there. And that's what they really lack. I think you will end up being fine depth-wise on the infield. I really do. What you need is high-caliber starting players. And we've talked an awful lot about Gavin Keelan from Louisville, who's the most highly sought-after shortstop in the transfer portal right now. And while there's still no commitment there, the teams you hear most frequently that aren't LSU are A&M and Tennessee. You'll see how that goes. The further you get removed from everything with that and there's still no commitment, maybe you lend yourself to, okay, he's not coming. Caden Kent was somebody that LSU was definitely in on out of Texas A&M. Well, this morning he pulls his name out of the portal and goes back to the Aggies. That's a guy who could have played middle infield for you and or third base, quite honestly. So we've talked about Andrew Fisher from Ole Miss, who officially did go into the portal. That's absolutely a target you would go for at third base if you're LSU. And, I mean, there's others. But, those are just the names that we've talked about most, frequently here. That's what you need. Like, numbers-wise on the infield, I feel the same way as I do about them totaling the roster. I'm not worried about that. They're going to be fine numbers-wise. Where I'm concerned is starting. Caliber guys who can just immediately come in and produce. That's what you lack. That's what they need. And with what you've done on the mound out of the portal, with what you've done power bat-wise out of the portal, infield shoots to the top of the list now if it wasn't already there. I still think you need to go get a catcher. And I'm kind of surprised they haven't been able to pull that off maybe quicker. But that also might tell you they feel good about Aaron Beatty and Priester making it here. But I would still go get one of those. But infield is clearly at the top of your list, specifically now with Ryan Kuchrak entering the portal. We have plenty of time throughout the show to talk more about that because it's a very dense conversation for sure. But LSU transfer portal turnover done. 14 guys into the portal, and they will go forward now into the MLB draft and see how that treats them. All right, we're gonna grab a break. Come back on the other side. Marshon Lattimore, he's being talked about again favorably. Is a bounce back imminent, and what would it mean for the Saints, both front office wise and on the field? Talk about that next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. You know where to find them. Agent225.com. Agent225.com. Talking to all y'all over in Lafayette as well in the 337 Darren James has an office over in Lafayette. If you need to sell your home in the 337, you need Darren James. The number 1 realtor in the state of Louisiana, the number 14 realtor in America on the Wall Street Journal's Real Trends list of the top 1% of realtors in America. That came out just a couple of weeks ago. I'm so proud, so fired up for Darren. I've told you for years that he's the best. And Darren has a way of making you feel like, despite all the volume he does, that you are his only client. He's exceptional at the entire process of communicating throughout and getting you results. Number 14 in America on the transaction side. It's Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Value Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Value Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Value Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Pluckers Wing Bar, open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Brought to you by Parish Restoration. Parish Restoration. I've told you before about Mold Zero Pure Restoration. Now, Parish Restoration, all the same thing. Patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. Parish, Jim Woodworth, who I've told you about for years now. Jim Woodworth merged with my guys Richard Tilley and Ryan Terrio, all under the Parish umbrella. So it's Parish Restoration, patented non-toxic dry fog. It's been actually pretty remarkable to hear some of these stories of people have put out to bid for remediation contracts, and they get the number from Parish Restoration, and they'll call and say, is this number right? And they explain why. I say it often. It is a more cost-effective, more efficient way, and also of remediation, and also because it's a dry fog, you're not cutting sheetrock or pulling out carpet or taking things out of your home or your place of business. They spray the fog, they let it dwell, it dissipates, you're back in free and clear and mold-free. It's Parrish Restoration. ParrishBuilt.com.
So we've obviously talked an awful lot about Marshon Lattimore this offseason and in a variety of different ways, but the majority of the talk had been all the trade rumors, right? I mean, it was just the trade buzz, the trade conversation around Marshon Lattimore was loud, very, very loud. And with the way the Saints restructured his contract, it opened it up even more for them to potentially move on. And, it just, even the comments that Dennis Allen and Mickey Loomis, well, not Mickey Loomis, he doesn't ever say anything, but the comments that Dennis Allen made it seem like, okay, they're going to separate from Marshon Lattimore. Ultimately, they don't, and he's back, and he's in the fold, and they have made that as clear as day, as they could in their most recent comments about that. So going forward now, the conversation turns more to his play on the field, which is obviously going to be huge for the Saints and their defense because Marshon Lattimore's been an incredibly productive player throughout his career in New Orleans and in turn his career in the NFL. But with that comes the caveat of his health. Because if we weren't talking about trade rumors and comments, the coaches or front office were making about that, we were talking about Marshon Lattimore's health in the last 2 seasons, him being injured and missing time. Marshon Lattimore he played 7 games in 2022, played 10 last year. The abdominal injury and then the leg, the guy's been hurt. Really no fault of his own. The injuries seem sort of, I don't really know if I want to say flukish, but along those lines. CBS Sports today got me thinking, though, because they released their top 20 cornerbacks in the NFL for the 2024 season. I know, lists, summer, all that good stuff, but stick with me. Marshon Lattimore checked in at number 11, which, considering the time he's missed the last 2 years, is a really telling ranking. And in their write-up, I'll just read it. It's about 4 lines or so. Lattimore can be frustrating due to his bouts of inconsistency, but few corners have a higher ceiling. When he gets matched up with a premier receiver and really brings his A game, Mike Evans, you feel him on the field. Couple that with 2 of his better all-around coverage seasons over the last couple of years, and you have a player who should at least be fringe top 10. Here's the thing with Marshon Lattimore. And I hear the bouts of inconsistency thing, but the more and we've all been guilty of that, and I think that there is some truth to it. I do. But I think it also gets blown out of proportion to an extent because of how well he plays against the top wide receivers in the league, Mike Evans. And you could say, well, doesn't that just lend yourself to, okay, you're defining inconsistency? Maybe. But why I say it gets blown out of proportion is because when you look at how he grades out, he doesn't grade out like an inconsistent cornerback anymore. Right there, you're seeing him even missing games. He had 2 of his best coverage seasons. Not all those games are against the elite receivers in the league. So I think that part can get a little bit blown out of proportion now at this point in his career. But when it comes just flat down to it, when Marshon Lattimore is healthy, he's awesome. It's that simple. And I have a point. I'll get to it, I promise. But go back to his last healthy season. That was 2021 for Marshon Lattimore. He played in all 16 games in 2021 for the New Orleans Saints. He made his 3rd straight Pro Bowl that year. He was awesome. If you want to take it deeper, off of that season going into 2022, Pro Football Focus graded Marshon Lattimore as the 5th best cornerback in the entire NFL. In 2021, he had what they said his most valuable season from a value perspective, his best wins above replacement, and that ranked 3rd among any cornerback in the National Football League. That was when he was fully healthy, going into the years when he's been plagued. Now, you can also ask, okay, that's still 3 years ago. He's getting older. Marshon Lattimore's 28 years old. He'll be 28 years old through the rest of the season. He'd be 29 going into 2025. That's getting up there. I understand. But that's where this year comes into play. And that's where the point comes into play. We've talked a lot about the Saints in a wait-and-see mode with Alvin Kamara and that contract because of the decline in production that he's had. The Saints feel like they're very much in a wait-and-see mode with Marshon Lattimore because of the injuries that he's had to suffer through, unfortunately. If Marshon Lattimore comes back, is healthy in 2024, turns in a season similar to 2021, where he reemerges as one of the top 5, top 10 cornerbacks in the National Football League, I think there's a very real chance Marshon Lattimore's back with the Saints for 2025 and so on. You've got him under contract through 2026. So that'd be through his 30-year-old season. The other part about that is, though, would a elite season for Marshon Lattimore, where he reemerges as a top 5, top 10 cornerback, what does that do for his trade value at that point? Because then you could pass him off to a team, potentially get more in return than maybe you would have. You know what you have in Paulson Adebo. They're very high on him. Really, the entire secondary. Isn't that one of the best, feelings the Saints should have about all of this, is when Marshon Lattimore's been out? Adebo's played well. Lante Taylor's played well. You got plenty from Isaac Yiadom last year. Of course, he's obviously moved on. But then you go grab Kool-Aid McKinstry in the draft. So if you feel like those guys are enough, and again, you should from what you've seen, does the elite season, potentially the bounce-back season for Marshon Lattimore, just drive up the trade value? That's the other thing about the Saints. They've clearly been that team, and we've talked about it plenty, that would move on from a player rather 1 year too soon than 1 year too late. And Marshon Lattimore could prove to be that guy, potentially for them, if he does have that bounce-back year. But then to get back to, hey, keep him for yourself, is the fact of how difficult it is to find that ace shutdown franchise corner in the NFL. I mean, outside of quarterback, left tackle, it's corner, isn't it? Where you want that guy because they just don't come along every year. It's going to create for a very interesting decision for the New Orleans Saints if, in fact, Marshon Lattimore goes out there in 2024, stays healthy, and has the type of season that we've all seen him be capable of since the Saints drafted him in 2017. You and I and all of us have sat here throughout this offseason and talked about breakout players on the Saints to watch, or, the most interesting player on the Saints to watch. And we've gone Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara and Derek Carr and Tyrann Mathieu and Cam Jordan. I mean, Carl Grimes, all of them. We've gone through all of them. And Marshon Lattimore might be the most interesting just because of what it means to the Saints potentially from a on-the-field perspective in the future, but also maybe even a front office trade move for the team in the future. Keep a close eye on that going forth in 2024, now that you know Marshon Lattimore is in the boat with New Orleans for sure. All right, we're going to grab a break. We are going to come back on the other side. It is a Wednesday edition of AFR presented by Pluckers Wing Bar. Got some Pluckers trivia coming up later in the show. One of the questions Paul's going to love, and he's going to get it correct, and it's going to probably be his favorite Pluckers trivia question of all time. So stick around for that. Musso in for Moscona. Scone is back on Monday, as are we after today. Last day of the week here at Guarantee. We got a 4-day weekend coming up. Hopefully you do as well, and hopefully everybody has a great 4th of July. But until then, we got plenty more to get to. So stick with us. We'll go around the SEC next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Action Industries. Maintenance managers, turnaround coordinators, looking to hire someone to come do work in your plant, in your refinery. You get that proposal across your desk from Action Industries. Make sure you take a long, hard look. Because my friends over at Action Industries are just awesome. They're awesome people, and they're a great local business that's been serving our community since 1982. So 42 years. Listen, there are some enormous industrial contractors. They're great companies, great businesses. But do you ever feel like your 100-person job isn't the most important thing to that mega company, that mega contractor? Well, with Action Industries, you would be their number one priority. You are getting all of their best people. And Action Industries, their safety record beats the industry standard. And look, the quality of their work is why they keep getting hired time and time again for into 5 decades now. It's Action Industries. Check them out online. Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics. Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Pluckers Wing Bar, open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Brought to you by Evermore, all-natural, great-tasting water. When you uncap a bottle of Evermore, that's the first time the product touches air. It's incredible. It's a natural well. It's natural artesian water. It's a well. It's on the North Shore. I went to their bottling facility. When you pull up on the left, you'll see the well is right there. They've drilled deep into the earth. They pipe it out right into their filters and their filtration system. Nothing is added. Nothing is extracted. It is completely pure from the earth water. So if you want a healthier option, if you want a healthier lifestyle, something healthier for your children, maybe you're an athlete that wants a superior form of hydration, Evermore, EVAMOR. If you notice, go to their website, you'll see Dak Prescott is one of their their chief spokespeople, starting NFL quarterback, is vouching for it. Check it out at great local retailers or order on their website at evamor.com, evamor.com, evamor.com.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Well, the recruiting heater continues in Tuscaloosa. 4-star edge Justin Hill committed to the Tide on Wednesday. Chose Alabama over Ohio State, Oregon, and USC. The number 48 overall prospect in the country per On3. Number 6 edge rusher. Also the number 4 player in the state of Ohio. Just strengthens the Tide's hold on the number 2 class.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Linebacker Tavion Wallace popped for Arkansas on Wednesday. 4-star out of Jessup, Georgia. Chose the Razorbacks over Florida State and the Georgia Bulldogs. Big recruiting win for Sam Pittman. Number 57 overall prospect in the country. Number 3 linebacker in the class of 2025, according to On3. Number 10 player in Georgia. Again, big get for Sam Pittman. Now, see if he can survive the regular season and actually coach the kid.
The Missouri Tigers.
Ole Miss.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
4-star safety Cortez Thomas committed to Ole Miss on Wednesday. Out of Lexington, Mississippi, Thomas chose the Rebels over in-state rival Mississippi State. 6 foot, 170 pounds, the 25th ranked safety in America, and the number 11 overall player in Mississippi per On3. 10th commit for the Rebels class in 2025, ranking 28th in the nation. Lane's done a lot in the portal, but the high school ranks needs to pick up there.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn cornerback Tyler Scott is set to miss the 2024 season with a torn ACL. That report comes from Justin Hawkinson of On3 Auburn Live. It's an unfortunate blow to the Tigers, really from a depth standpoint. 6'1" defensive back. He was set to enter his second season, appeared in 4 games for the Auburn Tigers in 2023. Then redshirted, so he still has 4 years of eligibility. That'll apparently will start, obviously, now in 2025. Was the number 34 cornerback in the country coming out of high school in 2023. Auburn expected to start Kyan Lee and Keontae Scott at cornerback in the absence of Tyler Scott.
Texas A&M!
The pages are sticking together. 4-star edge Marco Jones commits to Texas A&M. Chose the Aggies over Texas, USC, and Michigan. Number 151 player in the country per On3. A top 20 edge and a top 15 player in California. He's a 2-sport star. Talented athlete, plays both baseball and football, and plans to play both in College Station. 18th commit for Texas A&M in the 8th-ranked class. On the baseball diamond for the Aggies, a couple stories to get to. Of course, we mentioned it earlier. Caden Kent has announced that he will return to Texas A&M, withdrawing from the NCAA transfer portal. Of course, if you haven't heard by now, the son of former Major Leaguer and NL MVP Jeff Kent played sparingly, mainly coming off the bench in 2024, but was on an absolute tear, replacing Braden Montgomery in the postseason. All in all, 24 starts across 51 games, hit .327, 6 doubles, and 4 home runs. And one more A&M baseball story. The Aggies landed top transfer Gavin Cash out of the NCAA transfer portal from Texas Tech. 3 seasons over there in, 1 season in Texas, the last 2 seasons in Lubbock. 41 homers and 135 RBI in 120 games for the Red Raiders. He is eligible for the Major League Baseball draft with 1 year of college eligibility remaining.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Couple stories from Mississippi State as well, both on the diamond. Pitcher Colby Holcomb has entered the transfer portal. Should be a familiar name to many. That comes from On3's Pete Nakos. Holcomb spent 3 years with the Bulldogs in Starkville. Pitched in 12 games in 2024, 21 2/3 innings. Gave up 26 hits, 12 earned, struck out 28, finished 1-1 on the season. You lose Colby Holcomb, but the Diamond Dogs did grab Indiana State transfer right-handed pitcher Jacob Pruitt. He officially announced his commitment to Chris Lemonis and the Bulldogs on his X account or Twitter on Wednesday. Among Indiana State's best arms as a sophomore, finished with a 3-2 record, a 3 ERA in 13 appearances, and did earn one save on the year. Now we'll head to Starkville.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
South Carolina and Paul Maneri. Got to get used to that still. Lands a commitment from former Ohio State infielder Henry Kazmir out of the transfer portal. Spent 2 years with Ohio State, so entering his third season. Quite impressive in 2024. 322 average, a lot of 20s. 322 average, 7 homers, 39 RBI. All Big Ten second team in 2024. Now plays for Paul Maneri in South Carolina.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Pages are really annoying me. Hold on, we'll get there. Vanderbilt infielder Camden Koziel entered the transfer portal on Wednesday, or at least officially his name popped up in the portal on Wednesday. That comes to you from RN3. Lone season in Vanderbilt was 2024. 43 games as a freshman. Was very productive when healthy, but did deal with some injuries. 148 at plate appearances, 284, 28 RBI, and 5 home runs on the season. Also slugged .439. See where Camden Koziel lands. All right, that's around the SEC. That was a heavy around the SEC. That was eight teams and like probably 11 different stories. But got to get them all in because we're heading out here after today. That's around the SEC. This is After Further Review. Brought to you by Pluckers, Wednesday shows. As always, Musso sitting in for Moscona. Got a lot still to get to. When we come back, because we're just about due for a break. When we come back, Tom Brady talked about his biggest regret from his NFL career. And it kind of caused me to think a little bit deeper. So I want to get into that when we come back, and we'll do that as well. Bryce Koon from Go247 still to come. 4:15 is when Bryce will join the show. So if you have to leave, come back. He's been kind of profiling LSU's pass rush, taking it guy by guy. I wanted to get him on, talk about the unit as a whole, how Bo Davis and Coach Peoples obviously are taking that room to the next step, and just guys to kind of look out for, and who kind of fits into what role for LSU. So we'll do that as well when we get back. So stay here. It's a Wednesday edition of AFR presented by Pluckers, and more next.
AFR.
Weekend is almost here. Steamroll toward this weekend. Make plans to get on by Clegg's Nursery. If you're going to be in your garden this weekend, you want to beautify that lawn, that garden, maybe with all the hot weather, not a ton of rain, maybe you got some dead spots in your lawn. Our friends over at Clegg's Nursery can help. Whatever you need to bring that lawn to life. You want to add a pop of beautiful color. Full greenhouses with bedding plants and flowers. Just a gorgeous place and a great time to get on by Clegg's Nursery. And they got just about everything that you could possibly imagine over at Clegg's Nursery. Of course, they got gardening hats and tools and utensils and everything that you would need. They got Johnny Naylor seeds and, of course, full greenhouses of beautiful flowers. How about these sunflowers that are over there at the Segan Lane location? Get on by their Facebook page. I always encourage you to do that. If you're a green thumb, you know about Clegg's. You probably already followed their Facebook page, but I would highly recommend, because whenever they get new shipments, whenever they get new items, I recommend you get on by, because they always post them there on their Facebook page. Buy local, shop local, tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Pluckers Wing Bar, open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right. And then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first 2 floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having. But they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. WilliamsonEye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
All righty, closing out hour number 1 here on AFR Wednesday shows presented by Pluckers. What's been fascinating since he's retired is to listen to Tom Brady and in all of his, interviews and whatnot, where he's opened up a lot more about his career, life, and life after football, just all of those things. The roast, obviously, right? You put himself out there and that it's allowed you to see kind of a different side of Tom Brady than you obviously saw on the football field for more than 20 years, where he was the game's best, right? This one struck me though. So obviously, look, Brady, man, I guess this was at least a few weeks ago now that Tom was on the pivot with RC and Channing Crowder and Fred Taylor. And we played a little bit of audio from that show when Brady talked about the roast and, how he didn't like how it affected his kids and whatnot. But also in that interview, Tom talked about his biggest regrets or in his career in the NFL. And that obviously in and of itself is going to hook you. Like right there, that's going to grab you. Like, man, this is a guy who won 7 Super Bowls, who is widely and largely considered the greatest player of all time. You look at Tom Brady and you think, man, this guy's got it all, right? It's like, what could he regret? What are the regrets from your NFL career, Tom? The 2 losses to the Giants, things like that. That's kind of what you would expect him to say. It's not where he went. Tom Brady, looking back on his 23-year career, talking about his biggest regrets, said, quote, "What I would have changed was when I see these young players, I see Patrick Mahomes, out there at quarterback, running around having fun. Like I used to be like that. What the hell happened to me? I just got too serious. End quote. That's what got me thinking. Because like I said, it would have been easy for him to be like, oh, yeah, man, there's losses to the Giants. That's terrible. I just wish I could take those back. Or I mean, any loss. Or, maybe the way it ended in New England, I wish I could have taken that back. Tom Brady basically said he didn't have fun playing football. Like that's what he said there. He got too serious. What the hell happened to me? And why that has to come across as shocking, at least why it came across as shocking to me, and I'm sure probably many of you, is we revere people like Tom Brady for that work ethic. How often do you hear that's what makes them great? Not just Brady, Belichick, Saban, Michael Jordan. Like, go down the list. Any of the athletes that's ever been thought of as the greatest of all time or the greatest coach or in their sport, it's normally always somebody that's just so serious, so focused, so attentive, so hell-bent on being the best at what they do. And we revere it. So much so that we always talk about, man, you can do anything you want to do if you work hard enough. And that's not necessarily true when you really think about it. Hard work's the cornerstone of everything. Don't get me wrong. I believe that. I live that. But there obviously are limitations. Just because you work harder, there's not to say there's somebody who's not going to just be absolutely more athletic than you. And I'm using sports as an example. You could apply this in any part of your life. And again, this isn't to be depressing and tell you, man, you're never going to amount to anything. That's not what this is about. It's just the fact that we revere it so much that we apply it to our own lives, and it's not necessarily there. And here you have a guy who had the perfect mix of the athleticism and the 40 time notwithstanding at the combine, but the athleticism and the work ethic and everything, and was put in a position to succeed. And his hard work got him to the point where he's looked at as the greatest of all time in his sport. And he's sitting here telling you, yeah, that's awesome, but I wish I would have had more fun. I think where that's illustrated most, and sure, some of that could have been New England, for sure. The culture there, the atmosphere, all of that plays into it, 100%. But Tom having that drive, too, is what made that be such a great fit. And I think you saw him let loose and release a little bit when he did go to Tampa Bay. And I think probably the perfect example of that is the Super Bowl parade, where he gets off the boat and he's just hammered drunk. Like he's being carried off the boat. Like people, they made it into T-shirts because it was just so out of character to see Tom Brady like that. And I'm not sitting here saying that in him saying, man, maybe he wishes he would have just gone out and partied more. No. But I do think that's the illustration of something where he's like, I wish I would have just taken a moment to enjoy it in the moment more, not have to look back at it in hindsight. And quite honestly, I think that's really incredible advice. And you could say it's simple advice, and sure, because you hear it all the time, but to hear it from somebody like Tom Brady, who did have it all right there and worked so hard to get for it and is something and somebody that we revere so much, to hear him say, you know what? Maybe if I would have taken a step back and enjoyed it more in the moment, it wouldn't have necessarily impacted his work ethic, but it would have been better in the long route. Just something to think on. I found it incredibly, incredibly interesting, and not where I thought he would go. Because like I said to start this, when I saw, his biggest regret, it's going to be something about losing a game or something there. But no, guy basically said he didn't have, wish he would have had more fun playing football, is how I at least interpret that. So we'll see. He'll be on the broadcast this year for Fox. So there'll be plenty more interesting anecdotes, I'm sure, from Tom Brady about the game of football and his career and things of that. And when he offers them up, we'll obviously listen because the guy's got a lot to offer up, and it's always intriguing. All right. That's just about going to put a button here on hour number 1 of After Further Review, Wednesday show brought to you by Pluckers. Set to grab a break. When we come back, Sports Illustrated, they took a stab at naming the most underrated player for each NFC team heading into 2023. Wait until you hear who they tabbed for the Saints. That's next on AFR. Musso filling in for Moscona. 1 hour in the books. 2 more to go. Sports Center is next. Come back with us.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by First South Farm Credit. You know where to start. Your first call, your first visit, your first option when it comes to buying land in Louisiana is First South Farm Credit. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be land in Louisiana because First South Farm Credit can help you buy land in any of the contiguous 48. And they've got more than 40 branches in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So if you're right here in the Southeast, there's First South Farm Credit locations all near you. But remember, like, for example, let's say a lot of our audience in New Orleans, of course. You're living in New Orleans, maybe you're starting to build a family, grow a family. You want to move to the North Shore like a lot of people do. You want to buy the 100 acres in Tangipahoa. You can. And First South Farm Credit can help because they have an office in Amite. So you can walk in there. You can do business with someone who talks like you, lives where you live, and help you buy land wherever you want to buy land in the contiguous 48. It's First South Farm Credit. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call, your first option should be First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number 1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I'm Christine Lisi. Court papers indicate former Raptors forward Jonte Porter will face federal felony charges in the sports betting gambling scandal that resulted in his lifetime ban from the NBA. LeBron James returning to the Lakers. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, he's agreed on a 2-year, $104 million max deal with LA. Player option for the 2025-2026 season has a no-trade clause. ESPN's Dave McMenamin reports that the Lakers agreed with Bronny James on his rookie deal, 4 years, almost $8 million. The NBA career for the eldest son of LeBron James starts at ground zero, explains ESPN's Bobby Marks.
He'll go to Summer League in Sacramento. He'll be with the team in Las Vegas here, but Bronny James is a developmental project. Right now, I would not expect him to see significant minutes next season with the Lakers. I wouldn't even expect to see him probably see significant minutes year 2. How he makes it in this league is to be an elite level defender right now.
The Lakers hiring Nate McMillan and Scott Brooks as top assistants, giving new coach J.J. Redick 2 longtime coaches for his staff.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cash Back Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour number 2 of After Further Review off and running. Musso in for Moscona. Wednesday shows, as always, presented by Pluckers. Jordan Kitchens, Paul O'Neill along for the ride as well. Glad you are. 1 hour in the books. 2 more to go here on this Wednesday, July the 3rd. Getting set to send all of you into the 4th of July weekend. Hopefully it is a safe, happy, and healthy 4th of July weekend before we're all back here on Monday, including Matt. Matt will be back here on Monday in his normal chair in his normal spot. Bryce Koon from Go247 will be with us in the next segment. To be here for that, we're going to talk some LSU pass rush. We got an MLB mock draft to go through as well. Pluckers trivia still to get to today as well. Plenty to go. Auto locks still to come. Although Max again filling in for Jimmy here today. A 1-2 night for Max yesterday on auto locks. So stick around. We got plenty more to go over the next 2 hours. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines the word underrated as rated or valued too low. Today, Sports Illustrated took a stab at naming the most underrated player for each NFC team. Saw this, was like, all right, let's see what you got for the New Orleans Saints. Because you have options. As much as we crack on the Saints roster, and we do, they're old, aging veterans, however you want to say it, lack of production falling off. The Saints have a lot of players on their team that you could term underrated, that you could label underrated. Rashid Shaheed, we've had that conversation already, that he might be your breakout guy, heading into 2024 in the receiving core. Jordan Howden, had to like what you saw from him at safety, right? This past year, filling in. Marcus May's hurt, and send Jordan Howden out there as rookie. Does well. They're high on him going forward. That sounds like he could be rated or valued too low. Small sample size, I get it. Paulson Adebo, would he count? Yeah. As long as you have Marshon Lattimore, he's not your number one. There's a lot of guys. Carl Granderson. When you look in terms of production over the last 2 years, but where he falls in the edge rushing pecking order in the NFL, specifically the NFC, yeah, you could throw him in there. It wasn't any of them. Wasn't Adebo, wasn't Howden, Wasn't Shaheed. Wasn't Granderson. Wasn't anybody that you could think of that might fall in there. Nope. Sports Illustrated labeled the Saints' most underrated player as Derek Carr. And I just vehemently disagree with that. Let me say this first. Derek Carr can have a really good season in 2024. That is possible. We had this talk not long ago when I filled in for Matt about cautious optimism with Derek Carr going into 2024. He's had an incredible camp. We've heard all about how this offense fits him, the play action, the motions, all how he fits into the Shanahan style offense so well. And sure, he could have a good year. Look what other quarterbacks are. Y'all, Brock Purdy's succeeded in this offense. Jimmy Garoppolo succeeded in this offense at a high level, and it translated into team success. That could absolutely happen for Derek Carr. Sure, I'm not saying that it couldn't. I'm not saying that it won't. Maybe it does. What I am saying is to label him as underrated is ridiculous. It's not even controversial, I don't think. I think it's ridiculous. When you look at how to actually define that word, it does not fit Derek Carr. It fits others on this team way more. And we went through some of those guys. When you look at the write-up, one of the things mentioned in the write-up on Carr is, I know opinions across the league on Carr are scattered, but it's important to note that a down year for Derek Carr still means 25 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. No, it doesn't. That's just Derek Carr's year. Go look at his 10-year career. His high watermark is 32 passing touchdowns. His low is 19. 25 is almost damn near literally right in the middle. His last 3 seasons, 25, 24, 23. To term it underrated is ridiculous. When there were just so much better options. Take a guy like Rashid Shaheed. Who, the very first time Rashid Shaheed ever touched a football in the NFL, he housed it. The first 2 times Rashid Shaheed ever touched a football in the NFL, he housed it. It's like, who the hell is this guy? Why aren't you giving him the ball more? Maybe you should. Last year, goes for over 700 yards, really emerges as a deep threat. You're fired up to see what that guy can do now as the true number 2 without Michael Thomas or anybody else in his way. It's Shaheed Olave. Yeah, that guy's underrated for his giant playmaking ability and what he potentially could be combined. The thing that keeps Carr from being underrated is what he is after 10 years, and it's 25 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad year. But he is what he is. How many more times do we all have to have that conversation? If you just want to, I equated it to Rashid Shaheed for the Saints' perspective of being underrated. If you want to actually find an underrated quarterback, one that I would tell you Jared Goff is actually an underrated quarterback. And here's why. Because Jared Goff, when he burst onto the scene in Sean McVay's offense, looked like, it was him and Mahomes, right? They were the future of the league at quarterback. And then you see Goff's production dip to the guy still threw for 3,600 yards. He just won the 4,600 prior. And you see him be shipped off, traded, because the Rams felt they couldn't get over the hump and win a Super Bowl with him. He took them to a Super Bowl, which was crap, and we all know why it was crap, but he took them to a Super Bowl, lost, is shipped off. Looked at as damaged goods in a sense, right? All he's done since then is revitalize a tortured franchise, take them to the NFC Championship, throw for over 4,400 yards the last 2 seasons, go to yet another Pro Bowl, and arguably, not even really arguably, Pro Football Focus noted in a number of different areas, he had career highs in 2023. That's what I would call underrated. Because when you look at it, He's a wildly efficient guy who's termed system quarterback. And he's regularly ranked 13th, 14th in the league in all these power rankings or whatnot, even though he's having great success on the field in efficiency and production-wise. I was looking at a power ranking list earlier, kind of researching this a little more. Goff was behind Tua. Goff was behind Jordan Love. Like, I can make a case that you'd rather have Jared Goff over both of those guys. Goff was behind Trevor Lawrence. Like, you can make the argument. If I asked most Saints fans right now, who would you rather have, Jared Goff or Derek Carr? You know what the answer would be. That's what I actually look at when I think underrated. A guy who's been in the league a long time, and Jared Goff's been in the league 8 years, just 2 less years than Derek Carr. From a quarterback perspective, we've established what it is from a Saints perspective. From a quarterback perspective, a guy who went to 2 different franchises, took one of them to a Super Bowl, another one a win away, was traded away because they thought he couldn't hack it, and just revitalized himself and proved that he could. Proved he could do it in a different system. For a guy who's tabbed system and structure quarterback to do it in a completely different one, pretty impressive. At a different spot in a whole different situation. And that's not just who Derek Carr is. And again, it's not to say he can't have a great 2024. It's not to say that he can't thrive in this offense and the Saints can't go on a run that many of us don't foresee. Of course he can. But he's not underrated. And even if he does that, that doesn't change the fact that he's not underrated. And that's okay too. That's okay too. Cautious optimism. He's had a great camp. New offense. It fits him. Let's see how much. We'll get our answer here shortly. Saints report to camp later this month. And before you know it, they'll be playing preseason and then regular season football down there in the Dome and all over the country in the NFL. All right, we're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. Keep the football conversation going, but switch gears to the purple and gold to LSU. Bryce Koon of Go247 joins the show next on AFR.
AFR.
If you're a business owner, you're going through the hiring rat race, and it's just been tough, especially since COVID. It's been that way for a lot of businesses in basically every different industry. Finding qualified people that can or want to work that will stay. If you've had those issues, you need Glow Resources. Glow Resources is not a last resort. They're not a temp staffing agency. Glow Resources works for you, the business owner. And they want to grow that relationship to where you have longevity with them. At Glow Resources, when they place one of their employees within your company, they have a 93% retention rate. And if for whatever reason the employee that they hire for you doesn't work out within 60 days, they'll find you a new employee for free or give you a prorated refund. It's Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Value Ford has $10,000 off F-150, $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Pluckers Wing Bar, open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
We've spent an awful lot of time talking about the defensive line with LSU this offseason, but even throughout last season, whether it was a transfer portal or, guys coming or going, recruiting, all those things, position of need, pass rush. Wanted to kind of continue that. Saw this earlier. Our guy Bryce Koon over at Go247's got himself a little series going where he's looking at LSU's pass rush and kind of going each guy individually. Thought we'd welcome him on the show and do some of that here and get a feel for what the Tigers unit might look like in 2024. Bryce joins us now. Bryce, how are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. We're getting closer to football season, so I'm enjoying the final few free Saturdays, I guess we could say we have.
We are getting closer to football season. At this time in 2 weeks, or not even 2 weeks, so I guess we're a week and a half SEC Media Days. We'll be almost wrapping up. We'll be on the third day. So, I mean, that we always use that kind of as our unofficial, official start to football season. So it's fast approaching. And LSU's defensive line has been a hot topic. Before we get into some of the guys individually, which we can absolutely do because there's plenty, I kind of just want an overarching thought on from you on LSU's pass rush from 2023 into 2024 and maybe where they need the biggest jump.
Yeah, I mean, and like you mentioned when you introduced me, I mean, in the middle of a series right now where we're taking a look at individual guys, but the overarching theme, like you mentioned, is this group just needs a dude. They need a guy that can go out there and get near the double-digit sack total. Now, look, I know that number, when you look across the country, has been kind of a hard number to reach for a majority of pass rushers. But LSU's a place that traditionally has had that type of guy. I mean, even if the numbers weren't there, a guy that was a force that the offensive line, the offensive coordinator, and the O-line coach had to say, we've got to shift to try to take this guy out of the play. I go back a couple of years ago, B.J. Ojulari was a guy. There was a guy that maybe the numbers didn't pop off like people thought they would, his last year or two, but he was a force, and you had to know where he was on the field. And then, obviously, Harold Perkins' freshman year. So, you enter this season, and last year it looked like, hey, we've got a couple role players. Like, we've got a couple guys that can come in, they can give you snaps, they can get after the quarterback. The biggest jump to me is, are we going to see one guy emerge, or is this going to be a total team, group, room effort that can make the jump into saying, hey, we're now an elite pass rushing unit. I think that there's some pieces, there's potential for guys to pop off, maybe the younger guys more, or we're going to see developments from the veteran guys. But I'd like to see maybe one guy just say, hey, I'm going to take the onus on me. Maybe it's Harold Perkins in this new Blake Baker scheme, or maybe it's somebody else. But being able to have a guy that every single time that quarterback, steps under center or is in the shotgun, he has to check and know where that guy is on the field. That's something LSU really didn't have at times last year because of Perkins was all over the place, and there just wasn't enough consistency from anybody else to really pose that consistent threat.
Can it be Harold Perkins? I mean, I feel like that's the obvious follow-up there. Can it be Perkins even with this new scheme and new position again?
I mean, look, I think that's something that Perkins is having a conversation with Blake Baker and even Kevin Peoples to an extent of like, look, this is your money-making year. We know what you can be. We know the potential. But if you're really going to be that day one pick that a lot of people 2 years ago penciled him into being, you have to produce at that elite level. You look at some of the pass rushers that have come out in the most recent years, they've been able to do just that. Now, Perkins is different, like you mentioned, in the sense that his position is going to be something that they're going to constantly tinker with. But I think Blake Baker's attacking style is going to allow him to play a role in this pass rush. May not look traditionally like what we've been seeing in the past, but to answer your question, Perkins can definitely be that. And I think that if Blake Baker is smart and if this defense, for lack of better words, falters at certain times, what we saw happen last year, it felt like they were trying to continue to fit a square peg into a round hole. I don't think that's going to happen this year because, one, the pressure that's on this defensive staff to get it right, and just Blake Baker's understanding and difference in philosophy from the previous regime.
All right, let's move away from Harold because, I mean, that, like I said, like that is the obvious choice, right? I mean, even when you were talking about guys in the past, like Harold Perkins' freshman season. So it's the obvious choice. Let's talk about a few of the other guys, some that you have profiled already and some that I'm sure that you will. I kind of want to start with one that I know you're going to get to, and that's Braden Swinson, because he's one of the more fascinating players on this defense to me, Bryce, in the sense that, look, they brought in, Ovia Gofu out of the portal to be that edge rushing guy, and they missed. And ultimately, it ended up being Braden Swinson. Like, he was one of, if not your best and most productive pass rushers in 2023. What kind of leap do you expect from him going into 2024?
Well, Matt, you must have a look at my computer right now because Braden Swinson's the guy I'm writing up right now and going back in the film, and we'll have that tomorrow on July 4th for readers. But, as I've kind of dove into what Braden Swinson's game looked last year, look, you hit the nail on the head. Ovia Gofu felt like the big physical guy they were going to bring in, and Swinson, to me, when you watch him, his bend and athleticism to get around tackles is massive. One of the plays I'm going to highlight was a massive kind of strip sack that he had at Missouri. It was 3rd and 6. They were trying to drive down the field. 3-point lead for LSU. It knocks them 4th and half a mile, and LSU obviously gets the pick and wins the game. But his speed around the edge and his use of his hands were something that I think he came in a little raw. He was good at his previous stop, but this is a guy, too, who I think is a veteran player who could really benefit from the coaching of Kevin Peoples, Bo Davis, and Blake Baker in terms of where we're going to put you, how we can line you up on either side. That's one of the big story, lines coming out of spring ball is that, they told us, and Swinson told us, and I believe Parrish Shan said as well, we're all defensive ends. There's no, you're going to play specifically on this side or that side. We're all going to play defensive end and be interchangeable pieces. So being able to play to Swinson's strength is going to be something massive. And like I said, his length, his bend, just certain things that he brings to the table, I think that's what they saw on tape last year when they brought him in. And you saw it in flashes and glimpses, but if he takes that step, I know we were talking, Matt, about who could be that guy. Swinson's got all the ability. I mean, he's got the height, the weight, the bend, the athleticism, the speed, the handwork. I mean, if it's just more consistent, he's a guy who could really pop off this season.
That was going to be my next question was, can he be the guy? Like we've talked about, can he be that Ojulari or whatnot that you have to scheme for? And there you go. I mean, you answered it right there. He's fascinating just because I don't know if it's because he felt like he kind of came out of nowhere just because all the focus was on a Gofu if he could be the guy, and then Swinson ended up being that. But he fascinates me going into 2024. We're talking with Bryce Koon, Go247, focusing in on the LSU pass rush. He's on Twitter at Bryce_Koon. Let's talk about a few of the guys that you have highlighted already. Let's start with Savion Jones, another veteran guy who really you saw kind of relegated to that big defensive end role. What jump do you expect to see from him here in 24?
Yeah, I mean, look, Shand is a guy that has kind of transformed his body over the past couple of seasons. He's the big body. To me, the biggest thing for him is we don't need to see 7, 8, 9, 10 sacks out of Parrish Shand. That would be a cherry on top. What I need to see is his ability to set the edge, whether that is a mobile quarterback that you got and that LSU got tore up a couple times against, or it's just straight up the run game. I mean, look, for everyone who wants to talk about the pass rush, the run game's also massively something that this defense has to be better at. They've got to be better at the point of attack. So a lot of times they lost outside contain, and with Shand's size, he's about as big as you're going to see out there on the edge. There's been a lot of talk with, well, would they move him to the inside? He has kind of maintained, especially during spring ball, that he's a guy that he feels more comfortably outside. Maybe he could slot in and play a little 3-tech, but his ability to set the edge and help some of the faster, quicker guys, like a Harold Perkins, like a Braden Swenson, and a couple other ones, his ability to do that is going to lead to some assisted sacks and lead to stuff that's not going to show up in the box score necessarily, Max. And I think that's the biggest thing going forward. It might not be gaudy stats, but when you look at the film, it's consistent snaps. You can throw him out there. You know what he's going to give you. And just as a veteran guy, getting that last little bit of potential out. I think he's a guy that has been a solid contributor, but can Kevin Peoples, work some magic here and elevate him from solid rotational player to consistent contributor that makes big plays, whether it shows up on the stat sheet or not?
Are he and Savion Jones kind of the same guy in that regard?
I do think so. I don't think that LSU is necessarily going to get to the end of the season and see double-digit sack totals from either. What I do think that you can see is consistent play. If you're into PFF grades, quality PFF grades, and just kind of, LSU's had guys like this. You look across the SEC, guys like this, just consistent role players that allow for the stars to flourish. Because if Harold Perkins is going to be Harold Perkins, if Swenson can be what we think Swenson can be, and just other pieces that I'm sure we'll talk about, these kind of role guys have to do their job at a really high level so that we don't talk about them as much. It's almost the honest of, hey, we don't want to hear our name mentioned because we're just so consistent in what we do. So I feel like they're kind of in the same boat. But like I said, too, if these guys were to pop off and have a spectacular, final season, that's just kind of a cherry on top for what I think Peoples, Baker, and, Bo Davis want to see.
All right, one guy that I'm actually kind of surprised that it maybe took this long for us to get to, because he came in as a 5-star, obviously, last year, and they raved about him in the spring, and that's Deshaun Womack, who feels like he's probably just flying under the radar. When we talk about Swenson or Perkins as somebody who could be that guy, it feels like Deshaun Womack is probably the other obvious answer as somebody who could be that guy, yes?
Yes. I mean, when you talk about upside and the ability to mold this guy from raw, absolute athlete to polished pass rusher, this is what you talk about from year 1 to year 2 jump. Deshaun Womack is a guy that has all the tools. You talk about length, you talk about bend. I mean, he showed it at times. And I'll say this too, he also showed it in moments that were key and critical downs. And so if he's already showing it in that, let's say in that session, in that opportunity, the coaching staff's looking saying, if we could just get this consistently, if he's showing it on a big 3rd and 12, what about a 2nd and 8? What about a 1st and 10? And getting that consistently so that he's not just in that 3rd down pass rusher role. Which, look, there's guys that make a lot of money, man. Being that 3rd down pass rusher at the next level. But I think Womack's ceiling is probably below Harold Perkins in terms, but right up there, maybe a little higher than what Swenson can do. And he's one of the guys, too. Look, we're just being honest. If it's not a season that turns out the way he wants to be, don't want to speculate too much here, but he's a guy who could potentially look elsewhere afterwards if it's not working out. Because 2 years, if you really haven't, played pivotal minutes, snaps, or whatever you want to call it, it's kind of time to move on, maybe fresh change of scenery. So I like Deshaun Womack. I think he's going to have a good season. And like the bottom line, the kid's toolsy. Like I texted an NFL scout the other day and said, hey, what do you think here? And he said, all the tools, it's just in between the ears. Can he consistently have a high motor constantly every single down? He has NFL harvest potential.
One more for you, Bryce. We'll get you out of here on it, and we appreciate your time. The defensive tackle spot, and we've spent a lot of time on edge rusher and even Perkins at linebacker here in this segment, but the defensive tackle has been really the focal point of the defensive line conversation. They feel great about Jacoby and Guillory. Obviously, they had Gio Paez and Suggs out of the transfer portal. What is your feeling on the state of LSU's defensive tackle position as they get set to open fall camp in about a month?
I mean, I'm nervous, man. I think a lot of people are nervous about what this is going to look like, and you hit the nail on the head. Jacoby and Guillory is going to be, we'll say, DT1. When you look at DT2, 3, and 4, there's names, there's bodies, but where exactly are these guys going to fit in the equation and who separates themselves? So, look, you mentioned a guy like Gio Paez has played outside for the majority of his career, and I know you guys interviewed him when he first committed and everything. I like him as a high floor type of player. He's going to give you quality snaps. He's going to be able to consistently, get his nose in there, disrupt some plays. But, you kind of start to look at the NFL, and there's been, more of a transition to interior pressure. And that's something I'm going to touch on when we look at some of these defensive tackles, as those guys make a premium too at the next level. And so does LSU have that guy on the roster? I don't know. And if it starts to falter or starts to really look like the weak link that a lot of, people are saying it could be, that's going to put a ton of pressure on the shoulders of Jacoby and Guillory. And that could affect some type of output that he has, because teams are saying, hey, this other guy, we can just one-on-one, or we can combo block up the linebacker and take out a Harold Perkins, a Whit Weeks, a Greg Penn, something like that. So Gio Paez is obviously there. Suggs is the guy that I think comes in with a chip on his shoulder, felt he was under-recruited, undervalued, balled out his level, and all respect to him. But this is a different ball game. This is a whole different level that you're about to encounter. So if you can make some type of jump and transition during fall camp, show some flashes, that's really exciting. And then I'll just throw a couple of other games out there, which we'll see. Dominic McKinley is a guy that I was able to see during kind of the summer circuit of camps. He was out there, his younger brother. Dominic has put on real good weight. We talk about freshmen transforming their body. He looks different. He looks more like a guy that is ready to contribute. Another one, Ahmad Bro out of Ruston. I think that's a guy who kind of went under the radar in this past recruiting class, but another guy that I think eventually is going to be a consistent contributor for this program, and he's bulked up too. So, look, if you're a freshman, just because they brought in a couple of transfers and there's guys like Jalen Lee that have kind of yet to realize their potential, there's snaps to be had alongside Jacoby and Guillory. And you know as well as I do, Matt, Jacoby and Guillory can't play all 60, 70 defensive snaps. So It's going to have to be, some sort of rotation that works. And just to round it out, I'm nervous. I'm excited, though, to watch what these guys look like and the intensity that Bo Davis coaches, them with, because that's something that I think fans have had a little bit of an inside look when they watch some of the practice highlights, but it's a whole different world when you're in that indoor center, and he's barking out commands.
It's been certainly interesting. There was so many question marks to be answered on defense after overhauling the staff. All the focus really is settled in on the defensive line. So, Bryce, we appreciate you stopping by today, spending a few minutes with us and breaking it down. Thank you. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, Matt, appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great Fourth.
You do the same, absolutely. That is Bryce Koon, Go 247. Again, he's featuring it right now, doing a series, looking at each guy along the defensive line and LSU's pass rush and whatnot. So y'all get over there and read his stuff. You can follow him on Twitter at Bryce Koon. He does a great job. We're going to grab a break. First, South Point Volkswagen.
Brought to you by South Point Volkswagen. SouthPointVW.com. Y'all, it is a great time right now to get on by South Point Volkswagen, especially if you're looking for a new vehicle, want to get the best deal for your trade-in. Right now, the trade-in and trade-up event going on at South Point Volkswagen. They have amazing deals. You can drive away in a Taos right now, the compact SUV, 0% for 60 months right now at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, SouthPointVW.com. Also great deals on Atlas and Crossport. They want your certified pre-owned vehicles, so get on by and trade them in at South Point Volkswagen.
All right, let's grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. A new MLB mock draft is out, and there's a surprise that I want to dive into. So we'll do that next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, two beautiful hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. And when it comes to hosting your event, both the Watermark and the Renaissance are perfect. The Watermark is a gorgeous, elegant spot in downtown Baton Rouge. That wedding reception, that smaller gathering, that meeting space, they can do it. They've kept so much of the history and tradition of that iconic building while modernizing it. The Gregory is a great restaurant inside of the Watermark as well. And then, of course, the Renaissance Hotel, Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. It's more modern. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel property at the Renaissance Hotel where they have meeting space that can accommodate up to 500 people, 7,000 square foot of meeting space, perfectly located right off of Bluebonnet and I-10. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels in Baton Rouge.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
The best kept.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Pluckers Wing Bar, open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Reminds you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com with 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, rents the products used to weigh and measure. No matter where you are, you can ship your precision measurement devices to Michelle, and they'll calibrate them for you, send them back, or they'll just come to your office, pick them up, and bring them back. They can also do on-site calibration. If you have equipment that can't leave or you don't want it to leave, they can come do on-site calibrations as well with their mobile calibration labs. It's Michelle Weighing and Measurement, online at Michelle.com. Louisiana-born, Louisiana-owned and operated for 76 years. They've continued to grow, expand their footprint while maintaining that local ownership, local feel, handshake deals, face-to-face sales. It's Michelle Weighing and Measurement. They're also hiring. Check out the careers tab at Michelle.com. Again, online at Michelle.com, Michelle.com.
CBS Sports released their MLB mock draft 2.0, so to speak, this afternoon. And what was really cool, actually, about theirs, the way they did it, was they went through, obviously, all 30 picks in the first round, mocked them. But under each pick, they had the previous pick from, like, the first mock draft. Like, for instance, they have Travis Bazzana going 4th overall to the Athletics. In their first mock draft, it was Nick Kurtz. So it's just, maybe can you infer that much from it? Maybe not, but I like it just because it kind of gives you an idea of maybe where the fluctuation has taken place with certain teams in their slot and things of that nature. I bring that up to not bury the lead. Before we went to break, I teased that there was a surprise in this mock draft. And it's a surprise not that is characterized by an addition, but a surprise that is conspicuous by this player's absence. And that player is Tommy White. Tommy White was left completely out of this first round mock draft 2.0 by CBS Sports. It's not maybe totally surprising given the fact that he was mocked 30th in the first draft. Like, he was the last pick of the first round. But I think it comes off surprising when people around here hear that Tommy White is being mocked not as a first-round draft pick. Because for as long as Tommy White has been associated with LSU, or we've had any, awareness of Tommy White, it's always been accompanied with the phrase future first-round draft pick. And let's be clear, he could absolutely still do that. This is just one person's opinion, one publication's opinion on how things are going to go. The Major League Baseball draft is the most unpredictable draft of all the major sports. But it continues just a trend that you've seen with Tommy White. And it's been a trend in the wrong direction in this phase. His game has trended up, but his draft value seems to have trended down. Tommy White, going into this year, was one of the top 10 college players available, according to Kylie McDaniel. When Kylie McDaniel was here on this show, call it 2 weeks ago, we asked him about Tommy White and where he might slide in, because Kylie had Tommy being taken late in that first round. In his mock, he did a full 2-round, even with the comp rounds and everything, 75 or 76 picks, something along those lines. And he had Tommy late in the first round. And it's the same thing that Kylie said. It's the same thing that you see in all these write-ups. It's the same thing you hear from the scouts. It's the swing and miss, the chase rate, and they're still unsure if he can stick at third base. Everyone will tell you he probably profiles more as a first baseman at the next level, and a right-handed hitting first baseman at that, which plays against him. It's kind of the same conversation many have had about Jared Jones and why he wouldn't be maybe, higher than a third or fourth round pick right now. And also why maybe not returning doesn't do much to increase his, or returning wouldn't maybe do much to increase his draft stock. I remain surprised, not at the chase thing, because of course Tommy chases pitches. I mean, everybody knows that, but it's who he is, and who he is has been pretty darn good for you. The third base thing baffles me and just always will. And like I say, I'm not a scout. I'll never claim to be. But that guy made major league play after major league play after major league play after major league play this year, made 3 errors all season, and that some of those were towards the back end. For the largest majority of the time, it was 1 error, and it was huge play in big moment with high degree of difficulty. So that part still baffles me because, I mean, I'm not telling you that Tommy will stick at third base at the next level. I'm just asking a genuine question. With what you saw over a large sample size in his final year at LSU, why can't he? Like, that's where I'm kind of torn there. But again, the chase right now. Again, back to something that Kylie McDaniel also said when he was here last, going back to, he's not mocked here, but he definitely could be. Kylie mentioned that there are a few teams in that 12 to 14, 15 range that could take Tommy White, where he would fit, that do like him. But if he gets past that, then the range probably is late 20s, early 30s, potentially even, I think Kylie put his he put his ceiling, or I should say his floor, at around 34, 35, which would technically be outside of the first round. So it's just something that you're going to have to continue to keep an eye on. As far as the LSU signees, it's the normal suspects that you would expect and have come to see in all these, although they did kind of move around a little bit, and both of them fell, actually, or actually I think Cam Caminetti moved up, but Cam Caminetti 11th overall to the Tigers. Trying to see where he was last. Yeah, he did. He moved up. In the last mock, he was mocked 14th to the Cubs, and then Connor Griffin 1 pick later, 12th to the Boston Red Sox. Look, yes. I mean, I just selfishly, if LSU can't have the kid, let's let him go play for the Sox. Like, let's allow me to still be able to root for the success of Connor Griffin and everything you've heard, generational talent that this guy is. Yeah, I'd love to see him in the Boston Red Sox lineup. So selfishly, if LSU can't have him, let's let the Boston Red Sox have him. It's my favorite pick in this draft that I saw. And then William Schmidt, obviously, is the other one. Like I said, the usual suspects. William Schmidt mocked 24th overall to the Atlanta Braves in this one. There you go, Paulie. Yeah, you could be doing the same thing that I'm going for there. So that's kind of what you're looking at. Same guys from the signing class. The surprise is no Tommy White. I become more and more intrigued in watching the draft to see where Tommy White lands, just because of the fluctuation that you've seen from him in these mock drafts, really from where it was heading in to his junior year to now after heading into the MLB draft. It's one of the more intriguing things to keep an eye on. All right, let's grab a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2 of AFR with Tigers and the Pros.
AFR
is the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints, Rouses.com, Rouses.com. Rouses, tell you all the time, this feels like home. Y'all are heading toward the 4th of July. If you're planning to have people over for the 4th, make sure you get by Rouses. Everything you need, right? You want some meat for the grill? They got it at Rouses. You want some waters and some drinks for the kids? They got it. You need the adult beverages, the cold pops, the great craft beer, or any of the fine spirits. Best selection you will find anywhere. There are nearly 70 Rouses locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach, Alabama, everywhere in between. One of the newest locations is not far from our studio on Florida Boulevard right here in Baton Rouge. So get by the Rouses near you. Remember, if you're making groceries, go to the website or the app, hit the weekly ad tab. You'll see all of the discounts, all of the sale items at Rouses this week. So you can save on that grocery bill. It's at Rouses. They love to source locally. They love to be a part of the community. It's Rouses, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouses, this feels like home.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. and we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Pluckers Wing Bar, open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. You know, when we talk about Relief Windows every day, I always say windows, doors, siding, and now shutters as well. They do your indoor shutters. Same thing as the windows. Custom made, measured to fit your windows, custom fit for your windows, lifetime warranty on your windows, your shutters. But Brandon, you often hear say their number one product is customer satisfaction. And that's not just a catchy line. That's not a cliche phrase. Have an experience with Relief Windows and you'll understand. They go to the ends of the earth to make sure their customers are thrilled with the work they do. As a matter of fact, Relief Windows never takes $1 from you. You will not, no deposit, no down payment. They take all the risk. They will not take $1 until you're thrilled with the work they do. Who else does that? Only Relief Windows. Check them out online at ReliefWindows.com.
All right, wrap it up. Hour number 2 of AFR. Let's do it with Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, let's start with another honor for Angel Reese. This is awesome. Angel Reese, we told you earlier in the week, obviously, about her double-double record that she set in the WNBA as a rookie. 10 straight games with a double-double. Now she's been named an all-star in her rookie season as well, averaging 13 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, and right now is performing arguably like the best rookie in the WNBA. Actually saw some power rankings earlier today that had her as the number 1 rookie in the WNBA. So congratulations to Angel Reese, an all-star, year number 1. Josh Smith last night just continues a career year for him. Starting shortstop now for the Texas Rangers. 1 for 3 in the ballgame. It was a single, 2 runs scored, but the star play of the night at shortstop, an absolute web gem. where the ball is hit to third. It kicks off the third baseman. Smith stays with it, bare hands it on a hop, and fires over to first base to get the runner in stride. Just a absolutely ridiculous play. If you're watching, you're seeing it on the screen now. See if you can get to the All-Star game. Eric Raiselman got called up yet again from high A now to double A, made his debut last night. Shutout inning with a strikeout. Raiselman on the fast track, it seems, right now to Major League Baseball. Dylan Cruz with a big bounce-back effort last night. 2 for 5 in the game, a double, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. How about Blake Money as well? We haven't been able to feature Blake much this year, but just because he hadn't pitched on days. 5 strikeouts and 4 shutout innings of relief. Dropped the ERA below 4 for Blake Money. Solid effort there. And lastly, Gavin Dugas was 1 for 3 with 2 runs scored. That is Tigers in the Pros. This is after further review on a Wednesday. Hour 3 is next.
AFR.
Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawbillsTire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shawbills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires, the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good you're going to keep coming back year after year after year every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil changed, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shawbills. Let them give it the once-over, and you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawbillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Shop tires online at ShawbillsTire.com. Be sure to ask about the Shawbills credit card as well, because you can save $50 off your first purchase when you use the Shawbills credit card only at Shawbills.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
I'm Christine Lisi. Court papers indicate former Raptors forward Jontay Porter will face federal felony charges in the sports betting gambling scandal that resulted in his lifetime ban from the NBA. Not one, but two members of the James family agreed to deals with the Lakers. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports LeBron James agreed to a 2-year, $104 million contract, player option for the 2025-2026 season, no trade clause. As he enters his 22nd NBA season, there's still a great deal on LeBron's shoulders, says MSG Knicks analyst Alan Hahn.
40 years old, this franchise still revolves around LeBron James. As much as he has talked about passing the torch and Anthony Davis becoming that piece, as much as they've talked about finding another star to come in and take some of the pressure and some of the load off LeBron James, we all know it still orbits around this man. And he's still a highly productive player.
According to ESPN's Dave McMenamin, second-round pick Bronny James agreed to his rookie contract. Lakers hired longtime coaches Nate McMillan and Scott Brooks as top assistants on the staff of new coach J.J. Redick.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your car, home, motorcycle, commercial auto, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour number 3 of After Further Review off and running. Musso in for Moscona. Jordan Kitchens, Paul O'Neill along for the ride. Glad you are as well. 2 hours in the book, one more to go, and then we are off into the 4th of July weekend. We're taking it ourselves here at Guarantee. Off Thursday and Friday. We're all back on Monday, and Matt will be back there as well. So it's been a great show so far. Thank you to Bryce Koon, who was with us in the last hour, talking some LSU defensive line, some pass rush there. We've hit on a couple different Saints topics. And some LSU baseball. We'll kind of reset some of the LSU baseball a little bit later on in this hour. Still Pluckers trivia and outer locks to come. So stick with us. If you've missed anything, obviously on demand, AFR on demand brought to you by Brett Goff, and of course on the AFR LSU and AFR Saints YouTube channels as well, and the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. If you're watching there, do us a solid, smash the like button if you have not already. All right, let's dive right into hour number 3. It's July. It's the first week of July. Sun's out, maybe something on the barbecue, good pool day, all the things you think about when it comes to July. And you know what else you think about? Bowl projections. All right, not really, but we have them. Summer bowl projections, and I bring them up for a couple of reasons. Mainly, I think it's fascinating to look at them already, given the 12-team playoff, the first year of the expanded playoff, to look and see maybe how that might shake out. I think that's obviously incredibly interesting to look at. And then there's just the obvious with LSU. It gives you a gauge on what national media or national talking heads are thinking about the 2024 version of the LSU Tigers about 2 months out from the start of the regular season. So I thought, what the hey, worth mentioning. So Brad Crawford, tip of the hat to him over at 247. He's the one that put these together. And obviously, in season, we do this it's a weekly thing. We kind of look at bowls for all the reasons we just mentioned. LSU in this projection, and then we'll get to the playoff, is in the Gator Bowl, which I know is not obviously going to move the needle, especially in the summer when everybody wants, positivity, sunshine, and rainbows around the team, that they're going to be great and they're going to make a run to the playoff and things of that nature. But I think what's potentially could happen in a sense. Well, actually, let me not go there right now. We can come back to that. Gator Bowl's not what anybody wants to see. You want to see LSU in the playoff, especially since the New Year's Six now goes away with the expanded playoff. And what I was going to say is, could you see those New Year's Day bowl games take on a little bit more significance? Maybe because of that. Maybe. I personally don't think so. Like, let me be clear. I don't think so. I think the only way that happens is if inevitably when you expand the playoff again, if you decide that, okay, the first round still stays on campus and then we'll bring in the Citrus Bowl or the Gator Bowl or, the ReliaQuest Bowl, whatever, and make those playoff bowls as well. That's the only way those could take on more significance. But why wouldn't you just add another, if you're going to expand the playoff again, which they will, why wouldn't you just add another round of games on campus? Which they probably would. But LSU in the Gator Bowl, the opponent would be NC State. That's less significant. What this tells you is at least one national media member who's not closely associated, that doesn't do this, cover this one program every single day, thinks LSU is probably around the same team they were last year. 9-3 in the regular season. See if you can get a 10th win in the bowl game. And if you were with me earlier this week, we kind of had a conversation similar to where that's where I feel LSU is as well. I think the defense takes a step forward. I don't think there's some drastic turnaround where they're elite. And I think the offense, while still keeping pace, it has to take some type of step back because you were the second best offense in the history of the program last year. It's not realistic to think that. Again, I think they're still going to be plenty good enough. Now, the question is, does the defense take enough of a step forward? If you get a turnaround similar to what Blake Baker had last year at Missouri, like where they're top 20 scoring defense, okay, then you can talk playoff again and sneaking in. But what I don't think LSU's winning the SEC. I don't think LSU's getting the first round bye in the playoff or anything like that. I think they'd probably be one of the lower seeds if they sneak in and have to go on the road. But if I had to peg them right now in July, I'd peg them probably 9-3. And Gator Bowl would make a lot of sense, albeit it's not what anybody wants to hear, and I get that. But in the same vein, it's July. Got a long way to go. So with LSU out of the playoff, who's in? And this was pretty fascinating. Remember how it'll work, the model, right? You'll have the highest-ranked conference champions, the 4 highest-ranked conference champions, get the automatic bid, and they get the bye. And then you have the highest-ranked group of 5 champion gets an automatic bid as well. One thing everyone's looking at with the expanded playoff is the SEC and the Big Ten. How many teams can they get in? And that was one of the first things I wanted to see when looking at this projection. And they dominated it, as you might expect. The SEC and the Big Ten combined to make up 7 of the 12 teams in the playoff in this projection. 3 from the Big Ten, 4 from the SEC. Ohio State was the number 1 seed in this, obviously as the champion from the Big Ten. Georgia, the number 2 seed, obviously as the champion from the SEC. Florida State, the number 3 seed, is the champion from the ACC, like they should have been in last year as the champion from the ACC. And then number 4, Kansas State. I want to come back to that. Kansas State was the champion of the Big 12 and got the number 4 seed. The rest of your seeds, Oregon as the 5, Texas as the 6, Ole Miss as the 7, Penn State as the 8, Alabama as the 9th. I skipped Ole Miss as the 7th, pardon me. Miami as the 10th seed, which surprised me. Notre Dame the 11th, and then Liberty as the 12th, and your conference champion out of the group of 5. Some of the ones that surprised me. Kansas State, solely because I don't think they're going to win the Big 12. That's why that surprised me. So that doesn't really count because they very well could. But I think Utah is going to win the Big 12 and get into the playoff. Also, to not see Utah in this as an at-large surprised me. I thought maybe you could get two Big 12 teams instead of 2 ACC teams. And if you were going to go another ACC team, it's always surprising to see it not be Clemson. But the Clemson program is obviously taking a step back. Miami surprises me solely because I don't think Mario Cristobal is a very good in-game. I don't think he's a very good football coach when it comes to being a head coach. I think the guy has just proven throughout his tenure that his teams falter in November. And while an expanded playoff could maybe help him in that regard, I'll have to see that to believe it. Because his teams will win plenty, and then they will just absolutely falter in November. We saw it at Oregon. You've seen it at Miami. I mean, the Georgia Tech game last year. That was hideous. Like, but that's what Mario Cristobal is. So we'll see. But that surprised me. Notre Dame, not surprising. They could absolutely get in there. Manageable schedule. Did some work in the transfer portal. What would happen is, though, they would lose to Texas immediately. Texas, not surprising. The other one is Alabama. Not that Alabama doesn't have a roster capable of making the 12-team college football playoff. They absolutely do. And Kalen DeBoer is a fantastic head coach. The guy just took Washington to the national championship game. So you could say he has the experience factor, like, all that. Get it. This is still totally different. He's stepping into the SEC, and he's stepping into that job, replacing that man. And that pressure is unlike anything he will ever have felt in his life coaching college football. And I want to see how that plays out for him, especially in the SEC. If Alabama goes 10-2, which they are certainly capable of, they're in. Like, they're going to get in. I just don't know if that is necessarily what will happen there. So I was a bit surprised to see them. A bit surprised to see them in, just because my main intrigue is how Kalen DeBoer handles that pressure cooker year one with that expectation on him already. Because you're going to see this more and more. Alabama's going to continually be projected to be in the expanded 12-team playoff in his first year. And that's just going to create, even if it's possible, an even more insurmountable expectation for him. And it just already turns up the pressure cooker there. That's something that I want to see. On the field, sure. They've got the talented roster enough to do it. I don't doubt that. Are they as talented as they were last year? Probably not, but they've got enough to win 10 games in the regular season and get in. It's the pressure cooker aspect of it that I'm most interested in. So we'll keep an eye. But that's your 12-team playoff. Really interesting, man. It's going to be fascinating. And there were some surprises in there, specifically Miami, at least for me, and then Kansas State, because I just don't think they're going to win their league. But, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There you go. That's Summer Bowl projections. How about that? All right, let's grab a break. Come back on the other side with more. Hour number 3 of AFR rolls on a Wednesday, presented by Pluckers.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-001-752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. I love sharing 5-star Google reviews. Here's one from Ricky Gomez, who said Chris, his technician, was very professional and knowledgeable during the HVAC evaluation. He provided details and recommendations in a clear and concise manner. That's one of the things that always stands out. If you're having an issue with your AC or your heater, and River City's 1 Hour Air sends out a technician for an evaluation, they're going to explain your options to you. And that may sound simple, but none of it, I don't know anything about an HVAC, neither do you. Let's be honest. So whenever they go get up in your attic or they go look at your HVAC unit on the side of your house and they come talk to you, they're going to explain very clearly what's happening and your options to remedy it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
Value Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Value Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile bank.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Pluckers Wing Bar, open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
We're brought to you by Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com, generatorpeople.com. You want an automatic, a Generac automatic home standby generator? Let me rephrase. Of course you do. So why should you go with Optimize? 2 reasons. Number 1, the affordability. They have financing options to fit any budget, and you get your upfront quote price, meaning whatever they quote you on site. It's not like they're going to come back later and there's going to be fees and install fees and techs and no. Whatever that number is that they quote you, boom, that's it. Turnkey installation. When they're done, it is ready to roll if the power goes out. Number 2, that's all they do at Optimize. They're not a business, an electrical business that does 10 different things. They do one thing. They sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. They got 4 locations across the 1012 corridor. So it doesn't matter if you're in Lake Charles, Slidell, or any point in between. They are Louisiana's #1 Generac dealer. Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com. Easy website, generatorpeople.com.
All right, so the deadline for spring sports at the transfer portal, college baseball really specifically, came and went on Tuesday at midnight, and we talked about it to open up the show. Kind of want to just give a brief little reset here where we had a few minutes in case you missed that. Maybe you're just hopping in the car, driving home now. So for LSU, all in all, it would be 14 players in the transfer portal. Ryan Kuchrak, the final one who entered, just as we were getting set to go off air yesterday, so we didn't get really a lot of time to talk about it then. So we've been doing that a little bit today. Infielder, spent 1 year at LSU, played in 16 games with 1 start, primarily shortstop, hit 250 in 12 at bats, and will now move on. If you want kind of my full thoughts on Kuchrak, go back and listen on demand. It was the open of the show. The bigger story, the bigger consequence of such is LSU's infield depth now, and that's been a topic of conversation. That's been a major target for them in the portal, really throughout this entire process. I mean, you've seen them add guys, but mainly on the corners, right? I mean, think Luis Hernandez, who can play first base, Eddie Yaman as well, first baseman. You've seen it mainly on the corners. Where you're still lacking is the middle infield. And if you're looking at LSU, especially now with Kucherak in the portal, the only infielder that you could return, starting-wise for sure, is Stephen Milam. And again, that part hasn't changed. And Milam's been great. Like, he was freshman All-American, freshman All-ICC, hero in the postseason, obviously, for you this year. Played a terrific second base defensively and also showed some versatility. Moving to shortstop early in the season and playing, showing off great range there. Definitely has the arm strength. Like, if LSU's in a bind, push comes to shove, Stephen Milam could play shortstop for them, and I think they'd be very confident in that. I know I'd feel good about that. But that still could be the only guy. Like, that's not great. The interesting caveat is obviously, well, one of two interesting caveats is Michael Braswell with his decision in the MLB draft, because it's widely expected his name will be called over the course of the 3 days. It'll probably just be day 3. And what's his number? Does he want to give up his leverage and come back? All the conversations that we normally have. If he does, well, then you have your starting middle infield back, and you feel great going forth there, and it becomes a depth game if you're LSU. But with how aggressively LSU has gone after middle infielders in the transfer portal, it feels like they are expecting themselves to maybe not have their middle infield back. And it's not certain. We were just talking about it in the last hour. The MLB draft is the most unpredictable draft of all the major sports. But they're definitely going after guys who would step in and be day one contributors, like could just plug and play start. And that's what they should do. The other interesting caveat with a guy already on the team would be Josh Pearson, who was your opening day second baseman. You obviously found that you had better options there, and Pearson slid back into the outfield, and that ultimately was part of LSU's best 9 that they could have put out there. And let me be clear, it would be in 2025 as well. Like, that would be out of necessity. But it is just an ace in the hole, ace in your back pocket that you do have out of necessity. You want Josh Pearson to play the outfield. It's where he's most comfortable. It's where you're at your best as a team. But if push comes to shove, you do have that. Let's look at it from a hypothetical standpoint of Michael Braswell does leave. And you are just returning Stephen Milam. What else do you have coming? Start with the junior college ranks. And that's where you really find the other wild card in this. And it's Tanner Reeves out of Blinn. Tanner Reeves is a great left-handed bat. Like, has hit over 370 in his 2 years at Blinn Junior College. So you love that aspect, especially if you're Jay Johnson with his, love for left-handed hitters. A guy like Reeves has shown power, hit 20 home runs his freshman season. Then he's shown really the ability to hit for average, hitting over 370 or over 360 and only 8 home runs in his sophomore year. But the real thing that makes him a wild card is the defensive versatility. He can play every position on the infield, including first base. He can play all of them. He's just a great athlete. Jay Johnson went as far as to say he could probably play every position on the field outside of pitcher and catcher. And with that bat, if it does translate the way they think it will up a level to D1 SEC baseball, that's a guy, athleticism alone, that's going to vie for playing time and finally probably have a spot somewhere on your infield. So you would feel good about that. Then you bring in a first baseman, Trevor Schmidt, out of the junior college ranks as well. Those guys obviously draft eligible. Yes, we understand. If you get them here, though, You feel great. For what it's worth, neither of them ranked in the MLB Pipeline's top 250 right now. Doesn't mean they wouldn't get their name called in the top 10 rounds and go. Just saying that's the gauge that we have right now is the top 250 players ranked in the draft per MLB Pipeline. So Reeves is an interesting wild card that I think absolutely will come in and contribute in some form or fashion for this LSU team and do it on the infield. Then you turn your attention to the signing class. LSU has 5 commits infield. Cale Fountain at third base, Ryan Costello at first base, and then you have 3 shortstops, Kason Evans, David Hogue III, and Michael Ryan, who goes to Rummel down in New Orleans. Ryan and Fountain are ranked in that top 250. They could still get here. They could go. Any of those guys really could. David Hogue had a fantastic showing at the MLB Combine. But even if you get 3 out of those 5, depth-wise, you're going to be really fine. Like, you're going to be good. It's the same conversation we had on yesterday's show when just looking at roster numbers and the 40-man limit and all that and where LSU stands after potentially losing 27 of the 40 from last year's team. Potentially. And we looked at it and said, okay, yeah, wait, no, they're good. Because with what they have coming in recruiting class-wise, their own portal gets and whatnot, they were at 31. That was counting Ryan Kucherak before he entered the portal late yesterday evening. Now 30. So you'd have 10 spots. So you still have, obviously, room to add guys out of the portal or however you will. And not everybody's going to go in the draft. You're going to get some of those guys back, I would think. It's just the odds and how it normally plays out. So you look at it and you go, okay, you're good there. I feel the same way about that, about infield as I do that. Even if you don't get Braswell back, but you get Yaman and Hernandez to campus. You have Milam returning. You get Reeves and Schmidt. I mean, right there, you're at 5. And then if you get 3 more out of the 5, just, for conversation's sake, hypothetically speaking, in your class, that gives you 8. If you get all 5, hello, you're at 10. Numbers-wise, you're great. What you will be lacking is the experience, the plug-and-play experience, and that's what they're still after, and that's what they still need in the portal, and I expect them to get it. Where they get it, that's going to be the interesting thing. I mean, we've constantly talked about Gavin Keelan from Louisville, the top shortstop in the portal. He's mentioned with Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU, and as we kind of mentioned earlier in the show, the further removed you get away from all that, maybe it's likely that he doesn't show up at LSU, maybe goes elsewhere, but you'll let that whole situation play out. If you get him, he's absolutely your plug-and-play starting shortstop. There is no question about it. Look, man, you were heavily linked with Caden Kent, but he has pulled his name out of the portal and is headed back to A&M like everybody has, it certainly seems. So that's a no-go. Andrew Fisher, somebody we've talked about from Ole Miss, who could absolutely plug-and-play start at third base for you, and that could just, shuffle some pieces. So, and look, there's going to be others, absolutely, that they will be getting in on. But that's what you're after, is the plug and play immediate. Because it's not to say, a guy like Michael Ryan, for instance, couldn't come in and just immediately push for time starting in the middle infield as a freshman. Stephen Milam did it. Alex Bregman did it. We could go down the list. That's just 2 off the top of my head. There's plenty more who have started as freshmen at LSU in the middle infield. I mean, you're not unaccustomed to that in Baton Rouge. Same could be said for a guy like Cale Fountain at third base. You're trying to replace Tommy White. That kid's the career home run leader in the entire state of Nebraska, by the way. Yeah, that could be something. Could he come in and, sure, you get him here? Absolutely. Wouldn't surprise anybody. But that's still a gamble. That's still a risk. You'd feel better having that plug-and-play guy to maybe be your initial and then see if those guys don't emerge with time coming back, or if they're forced into action and they are your depth piece. Let them ease into it a little bit. You'd love that. LSU had a lot of success with freshmen in 2024. Brown, Larson, and Milam, they all played significant roles for you, and you were in a transfer portal era. That's not totally normal. It's not normal anymore to have 3 freshmen in the lineup. You did, and you ended up winning 43 games. You went through a lot of growing pains, though, because of it. That's what you're hopefully trying to avoid. So infield, plug-and-play starter guy right at the top. That's what you're looking for if you're LSU. That is the top priority in the transfer portal now for them going forward. Still would like to see them add a catcher, but numbers-wise, you will be fine. Oops. Knock the boom on something on the desk there. All right. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep you updated. We'll have the very latest. See if anything pops the rest of the week, and then obviously in the next week. And next weekend is the MLB draft. The MLB draft starts. So we're chugging along through the college baseball offseason, and it's certainly been an eventful one here in Baton Rouge, as it normally is. All right, we're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. Musso in for Moscona. We got a couple segments left here on a Wednesday show presented by Pluckers. Speaking of Pluckers, that's what we'll do on the other side. Pluckers trivia. I can't answer the questions, so we'll put Paulie to the test. And let me tell you, there's one. I'm going to give you the line that Matt gives me, Paul. There's one that if you get wrong, you're fired. And you're not going to get it wrong. But that's next on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Just dial the 8s. It was funny. Your last hour, we had Pat McAvoy here from Rocco's, the Jello Shot Challenge. Of course, last year, Gordon went super viral when he bought 8,888 Jello shots. Of course, if you're calling Gordon, you're calling the 8s. 888-8888. 888-8888. You can always go to getgordon.com. Gordon's done a great job, man, supporting not only student athletes through his many different NIL initiatives with the G team, but I love how much Gordon gives back. You know, Gordon Gives, the website gordongives.com, you can read about all the initiatives, the charitable initiatives that Gordon and his team are involved in to make our communities a better place. And it's one of the great things that I love to be a part of the G team as well because of the many, many ways Gordon supports the community. So go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done. Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Pluckers Wing Bar, open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all you can eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
We're brought to you by Supper Club. You book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild, you can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac, you can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
All right, we're going to get to Pluckers trivia here momentarily, but a quick little LSU recruiting note as well. Of course, DJ Pickett, 5-star plus cornerback out of the state of Florida, LSU heavily in on him, has taken official visits. Obviously, we've talked plenty about him with Shea in his weekly spot here. Chad Simmons from On3 is reporting that DJ Pickett has announced his commitment date. It will be July the 17th. Pickett will be choosing between a Final Four of Georgia, Oregon, Miami, and, of course, your Fighting Tigers of LSU. This would just be a massive get for LSU. He is the number 6 player overall in the country. As we said, a 5-star plus, which means consensus 5-star across all the major recruiting services. The number 1 player in the state of Florida and the number 2 cornerback in the country. This is, when you talk about getting LSU back to DBU, this is the type of player that you snag. Like, this is the guy that you grab. If that's the trajectory that you're really on, DJ Pickett's a part of that. I mean, that's the caliber that you're looking at. For what it's worth, the recruiting prediction machine over at On3 does favor LSU. 28% of the predictions are in favor of the LSU Tigers. And I'll remind you, when we had Shea with us yesterday and we talked about it, not only did we talk heavily about a run on defensive players for LSU here in the month of July, like defensive commits, and DJ Pickett would certainly fall into that, specifically defensive line and defensive back. And he would fall into that as well. So kind of to update you here, you have Zion Williams announcing his decision tomorrow, and that July 4th, and that could very well be LSU. Shea told us his prediction was in for LSU on Williams. And then the very next day, Friday, July 5th, you have the number 1 edge rusher in the country out of the state of Indiana, Damian Shanklin, announcing his commitment. LSU is one of the final 3. That's Alabama, Ohio State, LSU. And LSU's really picked up steam late there after an official visit, and Shea put in a prediction as well for Shanklin. So that could be 2 elite defensive line prospects in 2 days. And then we mentioned Jace Thomas out of Destrehan, who's a heavy lean for LSU defensive back. And then DJ Pickett now announcing on July 17th, LSU a hat on the table and favored by the recruiting prediction machine over at On3. We'll keep you updated. That's the other thing. LSU right now, their class sits 3rd. They can absolutely make a push back up to number 1 where they sat for the majority of this cycle. it's not over, and a guy like DJ Pickett would certainly go a long, long way to helping LSU do that. The class sits at 12 commits right now. Tomorrow, July 4th, starts a good run on guys announcing commitments who could certainly pop for LSU. DJ Pickett's added his name to that list, announcing his decision on July the 17th. All right. It's After Further Review here on a Wednesday. We are brought to you by Pluckers on Wednesdays. And look, we're about to wrap it up. We're about to get out of here, heading to a 4-day weekend, and I can't think of a better way to start your 4-day 4th of July weekend than going to Pluckers tonight and playing trivia. Both locations, Nicholson and Bluebonnet, trivia, live 10 rounds of action trivia, and you get the wings and the beer and everything else at Pluckers. Gift cards, if you win trivia, you spin the wheel. We'll give you a little taste of that right now. We'll put Paulie to the test with some Pluckers trivia.
It's time for Pluckers Trivia. How many will Musso get wrong today? Pluckers Trivia. Every Wednesday night, 7:30 at Bluebonnet, 8 o'clock at Nicholson.
All right, Paul, how you feeling over there?
I'm feeling all right.
All right, you're
not too overly confident.
You're definitely going to get the first one. So we got 3 questions. There's a theme. We're counting down the weeks to 90s trivia at Pluckers. 90s trivia will be on July the 24th. Counting down the weeks. So you got 3 90s themed questions here.
Okay.
Question 1. This is the one that you can't miss. Both 1995 World Series teams were picketed by the American Indian movement. Which of those won that controversial World Series?
Let me think.
Yeah.
I'll go with the Atlanta Braves.
That is the Atlanta Braves.
All right. I was getting nervous over here.
I meant to tell you this before. There's a ding over there. It's on the, I don't remember what hockey it's on. There's a right answer and a wrong answer one. Yes, Paul. It is the Atlanta Braves. That's correct. We'll just go ding. There you go. The wrong answer is right next to that one. We might need that one handy too. All right, Paul, you're 1 for 1. That was a layup because that's your favorite team. This is 90s movie lines.
Yeah, not so confident here, but we'll see.
Well, what if there is no tomorrow? There wasn't one today.
I've heard it, but I don't know what movie it was from.
Yeah, you've definitely heard it. You've definitely seen the movie too, most likely.
I'm probably going to kick myself when you tell me, but I don't even have a guess.
You don't have a guess? Not even a guess? Okay. That's from Groundhog Day. Bill Murray. Great film. Love Groundhog Day. Very good. When he punches Ned in the face, gets me every time.
Comes on about every Groundhog Day.
It does. It comes on about every Groundhog Day. I said the LSU Alabama game in 2022 when they beat him in overtime, the Mason Taylor play. I said if I could pick a day for Groundhog, like to be my Groundhog Day where I just relive it, I would have picked that day. That was a great. It was Handy and I had a great show that morning for Eagle Game Day. Just a great night around the game, great after party. It was awesome. All right, Paul. So you're 1-1. Here we go for a winning day.
For all the marbles.
This is also 90s movie. This is actually, I guess, 90s television. The Hellmouth was a supernatural portal on what 90s TV show?
Yeah, I got nothing.
These some hard questions.
90s TV show.
90s TV show. Came on the CW.
Oh, yeah, then I got no chance. I was not a CW kid.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Couldn't say one episode of that show.
Yeah, I mean, me either, but I don't know. I just, you know how I really know that is when we had Marler on to do the CW
trivia.
show trivia, I went through a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer trivia there. All right, well, Paulie, 1 and 2. See, I'm not the only one who just doesn't have winning weeks at that. Sometimes the questions are really hard, and
I think
sometimes
this is my first losing week filling in for you.
I don't know about that. I think we'd have to go back and actually find that. That's a pretty strong statement by you, Paul, that you've just always had a winning week. But maybe. I don't know. Maybe we can go back and find that. I'm not doing it right now. We're getting set for a 4-day weekend, and you're about to go on vacation.
Yeah, we're all on vacation mode right here.
Yeah. All right, that's Pluckers Trivia. Y'all get by both locations. Pluckers tonight, Nicholson and Blue Bonnet, 7:30 and then 8 o'clock for Pluckers Trivia. Live action, 10 rounds of trivia, gift cards, spinning the wheel, wings, beer, sports. Pluckers, great way to start your 4th of July weekend. Like we said, man, it's gonna be fantastic, and they're counting down the 90s trivia stuff. So who knows? Maybe you knew all the answers that Paul didn't, and you can go there and have a great night at Pluckers. All right. It is AFR, and our Wednesday shows are brought to you by Pluckers. We're going to grab a break. We have one segment left to go here, and then we shove off into our 4th of July weekend. We'll wrap it up with Otter Locks to find out what we're betting on. No Otter. Otter's already started his 4th of July weekend. Otter's on vacation. So Mad Max Gotros, you hear him on Live at Launch all the time. He's going to fill in for Otter. Filled in for him yesterday. Going to do it again for us here today. So we wrap up hour number 3. Wrap up the show. Wrap up the week on AFR next.
AFR.
And when it is 94 degrees outside, I can't even imagine spending time outside during the Louisiana summers without a swimming pool. We got one in our house. I'll never own a home without a swimming pool again. If that's your dream, to have a beautiful custom pool built at your home, or if you had a pool that quite honestly just needs some upgrading, needs to be remodeled, you need Duplessis Builders. I'm going to give you the website. It's duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. Y'all listen to this show for long enough, you know one thing about me. Especially when it comes to contractors, I'm never going to recommend to you the guy that's the cheapest. I'm going to recommend the guy that's the best. And that's the case with Duplessis Builders. Derek Duplessis, they're not going to cut corners. They will not compromise building standards to save a few bucks. At Duplessis Builders, they will walk away from a job before they put their name on something that is not to their standard. It's Duplessis Builders. If you are even thinking about building a pool, you owe it to yourself to give Duplessis Builders a look. DuplessisBuilders.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Pluckers Wing Bar, open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
For the last 3.5 years, I've told you, do business with someone you know. And that's still the case. It's just we've got a new company. It's Parrish Construction and Roofing. But it's all still the same people. It's me, it's Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley and Joe Morales, all the way down to Christina in our office, who when you call, that's who you talk to, and the same friendly crews that come actually do the work at your home. It's our same team. We just started a new company, Parrish Construction and Roofing. You can give us a shout. We even have the same number, 364-1007, 364-1007, or parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. Roof repairs, roof replacements, from the residential, smallest residential repair to the largest commercial roof replacement. We do it all, and we do it friendly with a smile, and we are here. We are local. We are Parrish Construction and Roofing. Do business with someone you know. Parrishbuilt.com. That's parrishbuilt.com.
All right, wrapping up the week here on After Further Review. We'll do so, as always, with Otterlocks.
Otterlocks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
All right, no Otter again today, but we welcome in Max Gotro. Max, of course, was hosting Live at Lunch. You hear him on Live at Lunch all the time. He was with us yesterday for Otterlocks as well. Max, appreciate you jumping back on. How's it going?
All right, good. Enjoying Independence Eve. How about yourself?
I will be doing the same in about 8 minutes from now. Soon as we get off of air here, yes, sir, the weekend starts. And I'm very, very much looking forward to it. A 1-2 night last night, Max. We hit on the over with the Reds and the Yankees. Suffered a draw in that Brazil game with Copa and the Brewers, man. The Brewers got the win, but they just missed covering that 1.5. But we can turn it around tonight and send people into the weekend with some money. What you looking at?
Yeah, not a great one last night, but we'll turn it around. I'm going to start off. Actually, this is Jimmy's pick. He texted me this morning with one of his picks. He likes the Rangers. I think they're about $1.45. I don't know what you're looking at right now against the Padres tonight.
Okay, the Rangers $1.45 against the Padres. Well, it's not loading. Hold on. Go ahead with your next one. I'll get that.
Yeah, so my next pick, this is mine. Giants Braves first 5 under 3.5. Looking at plus 114 on that one. Chris Sale has been dealing for the Braves in his last 4 starts, a 2.08 ERA with 12.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. He actually leads the MLB among qualified starters in fielding and in pitching. And meanwhile, the Braves' bats have been ice cold as of late, especially against right-handers, batting 188 in their last 10 games against right-handed pitchers. And the Giants starter, Jordan Hicks, he's no slouch, under a 3.5 ERA this season. So I think it'll be low scoring, at least early. First 5 under 3.5, about plus 114 between the Giants and Braves.
All right, and the Rangers, Otter had the Rangers on the money line, correct?
Correct.
I'm looking at $1.62 there, minus $1.62.
Okay. A little out there.
Anything else tonight?
Nothing much tonight. I did want to add a little bonus. You know,
okay.
We got the hot dog eating contest tomorrow.
Yes.
I do some research on this. You know,
yes.
Big deal. I know no Joey Chestnut, the GOAT of maybe all sports. What do you think, Moose?
That might be pushing it, but definitely of eating hot dogs. Definitely of eating hot dogs.
So it's a wide open field now without him. He took the Impossible Foods deal, and he's banned from this event. So Jeffrey Esper is the new favorite, minus 115, but I'm actually going to fade him. He's finished runner-up to Chestnut in the last 3 years, but I'm doing a Jimmy special here. He looks at the tickets versus the money on the sportsbook side. 25% of the tickets, but 64% of the money. The big money coming in on James Webb at plus 175. He's the second choice. He's an Aussie in a bit of form right now. He's been breaking a lot of records in 2024. He's got 70 glazed donuts in 8 minutes back in June.
Cool.
And earlier this year, 13.5 pounds of fudge in 8 minutes. So pretty impressive resume that he's got this year. Plus 175 for James Webb, the 35-year-old Aussie, to take down the hot dog.
How about that? We got a first 5 under in Braves Giants, the Rangers on the money line, and James Webb in the hot dog eating contest. Max, we appreciate you filling in, man. You have a great 4th of July weekend.
Thanks. Same to you.
Absolutely. That's just about going to do it here for us on the week on AFR. Jordan, thank you for hanging out and pulling double duty today. Paul, welcome back. Enjoy 4th of July and your vacation, of course, sir. Y'all be back with us on Monday. Matt's back in the chair. We'll be talking sports here on AFR.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or LA